What happens when a team of scientists lands on a planet where time flows backward, only to find their memories vanishing with every step they take? You won't believe how far they'll have to go to escape, and what they'll lose along the way. The air tasted metallic as Dr. Lena Brooks stepped onto the alien surface, her boots crunching against crystalline formations that seemed to grow smaller with each passing moment. Above her, the sky churned in impossible patterns. Stars appeared and disappeared in reverse flashes, constellations dissolving into cosmic dust before reassembling elsewhere. She activated her chronometer, watching numbers race backward with increasing velocity. "This isn't just local temporal distortion," she whispered, fingers trembling over her data pad. "It's fundamental to the fabric of this place." Edward approached, his face pale beneath the violet-tinted sunlight. "I don't like this document. My neural implant keeps glitching. I'm losing chunks of short-term memory. First, it was just forgetting what I had for breakfast. Now whole minutes are gone." He tapped his temple, frustration evident in his voice. "We need to establish parameters quickly, or we might not remember why we're even here." Their conversation halted abruptly as a ripple passed through the air, like heat waves but moving inward rather than outward. The ground beneath their feet shifted, not shaking, but somehow rewinding its geological history. Ancient fossils emerged from solid rock only to vanish moments later. Lena's instruments went wild, needles spinning counterclockwise, digital displays flickering with reverse symbols. "We only just arrived, but already something incomprehensible is happening," Lena said urgently. "This phenomenon defies every known law of physics. Stay tuned, because if we survive the next few hours, you're going to witness discoveries that could redefine our understanding of reality itself. We're about to encounter forces that make quantum mechanics look like child's play." The research camp took shape amidst growing temporal anomalies. Tents assembled themselves from scattered materials, folding inward until perfectly constructed. Food supplies decayed into raw ingredients before their eyes. Lena worked feverishly at her workstation, analyzing samples while fighting to maintain her own continuity of thought. Each calculation felt like grasping smoke. Insights evaporated before she could fully process them. Edward patrolled the perimeter, his plasma rifle ready, though he doubted conventional weapons would affect whatever watched them from the shadows. He noticed movement in the distance, figures that appeared to walk backward, their forms shimmering like mirages. When he blinked, they vanished. "Doc, we're not alone out here," he called, his voice tight with controlled panic. "Something's observing us. I can feel it." Lena joined him, scanning the horizon with enhanced optics. Her device picked up temporal echoes, residual energy signatures suggesting intelligent manipulation of time itself. "Whatever it is, it's been here far longer than we can comprehend. These readings show consciousness existing across multiple temporal vectors simultaneously." She paused, realization dawning. "That's why we're losing memories. It's not random. Someone or something is actively harvesting them." The revelation hit them both like a physical force. Their very identities were under threat, their pasts being systematically erased. A gust of wind carried fragments of reverse sound, laughter played backward, voices speaking in languages long forgotten. The hairs on their necks stood up as they realized the magnitude of what they faced. "We're standing at the edge of comprehension," Lena said, her voice steady despite the chaos around them. "What happens next will determine not just our survival, but whether we retain any sense of who we are. You simply cannot miss what's coming. The truth about this entity might shatter everything we thought we knew about existence." Kron revealed itself gradually, like darkness bleeding into light. At first, it was subtle, memories slipping away faster, equipment failures more frequent. Then came the visions, glimpses of their own lives playing in reverse, childhood memories unfolding backward, faces of loved ones fading into static. Lena found herself staring at photographs that changed before her eyes, people disappearing from group shots, events erasing themselves from recorded history. Edward stumbled upon the creature's true form during a routine perimeter check. It manifested as a cascade of overlapping images, 1,000 versions of itself existing simultaneously across different points in time. Some iterations appeared human-like, others monstrous, others purely energy-based. "It's beautiful," he whispered, frozen in place as temporal energies washed over him. "And terrifying." His weapon clattered to the ground as memories flooded out of him, his first flight, his academy graduation, his mother's smile. Back at the camp, Lena fought to document their findings before they vanished completely. Her notes became jumbled, equations rearranging themselves into nonsense. The harder she tried to grasp understanding, the faster it slipped away. Yet through the chaos, patterns emerged, mathematical symmetries suggesting purpose behind the chaos. "It's not mindless destruction," she realized aloud. "This thing is learning from us, using our memories to understand linear time." A sudden temporal surge knocked them both to the ground. When they rose, large portions of their shared history had vanished. They couldn't recall how they'd met or why they'd come to this planet. Panic set in as they scrambled to reconstruct their mission parameters from fragmented data logs. The stakes had never been higher with each passing moment. They lost more of themselves to the insatiable hunger of Kron. Desperation drove innovation. Lena repurposed their remaining equipment into a crude temporal shield generator, creating pockets of stabilized time within which they could operate. These safe zones lasted mere minutes before collapsing under the strain of reversed entropy, but they provided crucial windows of clarity. Edward modified their suits with memory stabilization implants, tiny devices that helped anchor their consciousness against the tide of forgetting. Working together, they developed a theory. Kron wasn't merely consuming memories, it was attempting to bridge two incompatible states of existence, forward-flowing time and reverse temporality. "Like matter and antimatter," Lena explained, sketching equations that dissolved before completion. "When they meet, annihilation occurs. But if we can create a buffer zone..." Her voice trailed off as another wave of temporal instability wiped away part of her explanation. Their progress attracted attention. Kron began manifesting more frequently, testing their defenses with increasingly sophisticated attacks. Once, it appeared as a perfect replica of Lena's younger self, reciting forgotten equations back to her in reverse order. Another time, it took Edward's form, sharing memories of missions he no longer recalled flying. The psychological toll mounted. Distinguishing reality from temporal illusion became nearly impossible. Yet through these encounters they gathered vital data. Each manifestation left traces, residual energy signatures, temporal radiation patterns. Piece by piece, they built a profile of their adversary, learning its weaknesses even as it consumed more of their past. The work exhausted them physically and mentally, but surrender wasn't an option, not when every lost memory brought them closer to complete dissolution. Breakthrough came unexpectedly during a particularly violent temporal storm. Huddled within their shrinking safe zone, Lena watched as lightning forks moved upward into clouds, raindrops rising from puddles to reunite with darkened skies. Something about the reversed weather patterns triggered a cascade of insights, connections between thermodynamic reversal and information entropy that had eluded her until now. "The solution isn't to fight the reversal," she exclaimed, feverishly scribbling calculations that managed to stick this time. "We need to embrace it, create a temporal conduit that harmonizes both flows." Edward stared at her, recognition dawning even as another chunk of their shared history vanished. They worked in frantic tandem, building a device that looked more like abstract art than functional technology. Spiraling conduits, oscillating crystals, and feedback loops designed to exist simultaneously in both temporal states. Testing proved perilous. Each activation drew Kron's immediate attention, the entity manifesting in increasingly aggressive forms. Once, it surrounded their camp in a sphere of reversed causality. Tools disassembled themselves. Their shuttle began dematerializing piece by piece. Only quick thinking and precise calibration saved them, the prototype device generating just enough temporal stability to protect their immediate surroundings. Through these trials, their understanding deepened. Kron wasn't merely a predator, it was a guardian, protecting the integrity of reverse time from contamination by linear beings. This realization brought both hope and dread. They weren't facing blind aggression, but calculated defense of a fundamental universal principle. As their device neared completion, side effects became more pronounced. Prolonged exposure to their experimental technology caused strange physiological changes. Hair grew backward, wounds healed in reverse, cellular structures temporarily destabilized. Lena discovered she could sometimes see fragments of future events, though they dissolved into confusion almost immediately. Edward reported experiencing moments of temporal vertigo, brief windows where cause and effect swapped positions. These adaptations proved both blessing and curse. Enhanced perception allowed them to anticipate Kron's attacks with greater accuracy, but the cost was accelerating memory loss. Simple tasks became challenging. Operating familiar equipment required constant relearning. Basic survival skills slipped away. They maintained a digital journal, recording essential information only to watch entries disappear moments after creation. Despite these challenges, progress continued. The device evolved beyond mere protection, hinting at potential for actual communication. Strange symbols began appearing on its interface, not random noise, but structured patterns suggesting language. Lena worked tirelessly to decode them, finding correlations with ancient Earth myths about time and memory. Each breakthrough brought them closer to understanding Kron's true nature, though the knowledge remained tantalizingly out of reach. Their relationship transformed under the strain. Professional respect deepened into something stronger, a bond forged in the crucible of shared existential crisis. They relied on each other completely, knowing that separation would mean certain dissolution in this hostile temporal environment. First contact occurred during a particularly intense temporal convergence. The device hummed with unprecedented power, its conduits glowing with reversed light spectra. Suddenly, Kron materialized within their protected zone, not as attacker, but as curious observer. Multiple forms overlapped in impossible geometry. A towering crystalline structure, a swirling vortex of reversed time streams, and something almost human-like, its features constantly shifting between ages and genders. Communication proved extraordinarily complex. The entity expressed itself through cascading temporal manipulations, objects aging and de-aging in specific patterns, gravity reversing direction in controlled bursts, localized pockets of reversed entropy forming intricate shapes. Lena interpreted these as questions, attempts to understand their linear perspective. She responded using their device, generating complementary temporal signatures that formed responses. Edward handled practical aspects of the interaction, maintaining protective fields while monitoring environmental effects. His combat training proved unexpectedly useful in navigating the nonlinear negotiations, his reflexes adapting to predict Kron's movements based on reversed causality patterns. Together, they established basic protocols, safe zones for interaction, temporal frequencies for communication, and agreed boundaries for experimentation. Through these exchanges, shocking revelations emerged. Kron revealed itself as guardian of a vast temporal ecosystem, existing outside conventional understanding of past and future. Its consumption of memories served not malicious purposes, but rather to maintain balance between conflicting temporal states. This knowledge forced them to reconsider their entire approach to escaping the planet. The negotiation turned deadly when their device malfunctioned during a critical exchange. Power surges created rogue temporal vortexes, threatening to tear apart both their protected zone and Kron's manifested form. Objects began existing in multiple states simultaneously, their shuttle both intact and demolished, their equipment functioning and broken. Reality itself started to unravel at the seams. Lena worked frantically to stabilize the situation, her hands moving faster than thought as she rerouted energy flows. Edward used his piloting skills to navigate the chaotic space-time distortions, positioning himself to protect Lena while maintaining their fragile connection with Kron. The entity responded with desperate measures of its own, manifesting multiple defensive forms that clashed with their technology in spectacular displays of reversed physics. Memories poured out of them in torrents. Entire years of experience, relationships, personal growth dissolving into temporal radiation. Yet through this crisis, they discovered unexpected strengths. Their shared determination created a unique temporal resonance, a harmony between linear and reverse time that began stabilizing their environment. Kron recognized this potential, shifting its approach from confrontation to cooperation. The incident marked a turning point. No longer mere intruders, they became participants in a grand temporal experiment. Their presence had disrupted the delicate balance, but also offered a chance for something new, a synthesis of opposing temporal perspectives that could reshape understanding of reality itself. Rebuilding their device required scavenging components from their deteriorating shuttle while fighting against accelerated memory loss. Each tool used erased knowledge of its function, forcing them to develop intuitive methods of operation. Edward developed a system of visual cues and muscle memory patterns that allowed him to repair systems he no longer consciously understood. Lena created abstract representations of their work, relying on pattern recognition rather than detailed technical knowledge. Kron assisted in unexpected ways, manipulating local temporal flows to preserve crucial elements of their technology. Its forms became more stable, often taking shape as a combination of their own likenesses, a merging of perspectives that reflected their growing understanding. Through this collaborative effort, the device evolved into something far beyond its original design, incorporating principles of both linear and reverse temporality. Their personal connection deepened further, transcending conventional human relationships. Shared experiences of temporal instability created bonds that existed outside normal constraints of time and memory. They communicated through half-forgotten gestures, instinctive responses to each other's needs, and flashes of insight that bridged their fragmented consciousnesses. This intimate partnership became their greatest strength, allowing them to coordinate complex operations without conscious thought. The completed device pulsed with hybrid temporal energy, its crystalline structure refracting light in impossible patterns. Readings indicated it could generate a stable bridge between their native time flow and the planet's reversed entropy, but at a significant cost. Activation would require sacrificing most of their remaining memories, potentially including knowledge of their home and mission. The moment of truth arrived as their window of opportunity aligned with a rare temporal convergence. The device activated with a sound that defied description, a harmonic resonance that vibrated through matter, time, and consciousness itself. Reality fractured around them, shards of different temporal states coexisting in unstable equilibrium. Kron manifested fully for the first time, its true form revealed as a magnificent tapestry of overlapping realities. Lena and Edward stood at the center of this cosmic dance, their combined temporal signature stabilizing the bridge. Memories flooded from them in blinding cascades, family faces, cherished moments, professional achievements all dissolving into pure temporal energy. Yet through this sacrifice, they witnessed something extraordinary. The fundamental unity of time's flow, the artificial distinction between past and future revealed as mere perspective. The climax reached its peak as their device transformed into a permanent temporal nexus. Kron, recognizing their ultimate gift, extended a portion of its essence to protect their remaining consciousness. Space-time rippled dramatically, the planet's reversed entropy beginning to harmonize with linear flow in localized areas. Their shuttle, previously trapped in temporal degradation, stabilized enough for launch. Emerging from the nexus, they found themselves fundamentally changed. Their memories remained fragmented, but new cognitive pathways had formed abilities to perceive multiple temporal states simultaneously, to exist partly in both forward and reverse time flows. The shuttle's instruments displayed readings that made perfect sense to their altered consciousness, though they knew such understanding would fade once they returned to normal spacetime. Edward guided their craft through the planet's atmosphere, now stabilized enough for safe departure. Behind them, the temporal anomaly began to heal, Kron's influence spreading beneficial effects throughout the ecosystem. The entity's final gift manifested as a protective temporal field surrounding their vessel, ensuring safe passage through potentially hazardous spacetime distortions. Lena monitored their transition, observing how their enhanced perceptions gradually faded as they moved away from the planet's influence. Yet something remained, an intuitive grasp of temporal mechanics that defied conventional explanation. Their journals, once filled with vanishing equations, now contained stable records of their discoveries, written in a symbolic language they somehow understood despite its complexity. Returning to known space proved both triumph and challenge. Their reports generated skepticism from superiors who couldn't comprehend the radical new understanding of time they presented. Instruments confirmed their physiological changes, brainwave patterns showing unprecedented synchronization, cellular structures exhibiting dual temporal characteristics. Medical examinations revealed their bodies had adapted to exist partially outside conventional time flow, explaining their retained abilities despite leaving the planet's influence. Colleagues struggled to accept their findings, dismissing much of their data as anomalous or fabricated. But undeniable evidence existed. Technological innovations based on their discoveries yielded breakthroughs in temporal physics, though they themselves couldn't fully explain the underlying principles anymore. Their experience had elevated them beyond conventional scientific methodology, granting insights that resisted traditional documentation. The separation from Kron manifested as a profound sense of loss, yet also liberation. They had touched eternity and survived, carrying fragments of universal truth within them. Their work inspired a new generation of researchers, though they themselves moved forward with selective amnesia about their greatest achievement, a necessary compromise to maintain their place in linear time. Months later, subtle signs of Kron's continued influence emerged. During deep space missions, Edward occasionally encountered temporal echoes, brief windows where reversed causality manifested in controlled environments. Lena's theoretical work kept producing results that anticipated future discoveries, though she couldn't explain her methodology. Their enhanced perceptions persisted, allowing them to navigate complex situations with uncanny precision. The scientific community gradually accepted their findings, though understanding remained incomplete. Their expedition launched a revolution in temporal physics, leading to practical applications in faster-than-light travel and temporal communications. Yet the true nature of their experience remained elusive, accessible only through the mysterious symbolic language they developed during their time on the planet. Personal growth manifested in unexpected ways. Their bond evolved beyond romantic or professional categories, becoming something uniquely suited to their altered state of existence. they found themselves drawn to others who had experienced temporal anomalies, forming a community of those who understood the space between moments. Legacy took shape through unconventional means. Their research vessel Kronos became a mobile laboratory for temporal studies, equipped with technology derived from their discoveries. Young scientists sought them out, drawn by rumors of their impossible journey and the fragments of knowledge they still possessed. Through mentoring, they passed along not just technical skills, but a new way of perceiving reality that transcended traditional scientific boundaries. Attempts to return to the planet revealed its location had shifted in spacetime, hidden behind layers of temporal distortion. Yet its influence continued to spread regions of space showing similar temporal characteristics, suggesting Kron's presence extended far beyond a single world. Their work suggested a universe teeming with temporal ecosystems, each governed by its own rules of causality and entropy. Public awareness grew cautiously, with their story inspiring both scientific exploration and philosophical reflection. Art, literature, and music began exploring themes of reverse time and memory, drawing inspiration from their experiences. They became symbols of humanity's potential to transcend limitations, though their own memories of the journey continued to evolve rather than fade. Final reflections came during a solo mission to map newly discovered temporal anomalies. Standing on the observation deck, watching stars move in patterns that hinted at deeper temporal structures, Lena felt Kron's presence again, not as separate entity, but as integral aspect of existence itself. Edward joined her, their synchronized thoughts communicating without words, understanding flowing between them like reversed time streams. They realized their journey had never truly ended. The planet had changed them irrevocably, opening doors to perception that would never fully close. Their work continued not as quest for knowledge, but as ongoing dialogue with the fundamental nature of reality. Each new discovery added to the tapestry of understanding, weaving together threads of past and future, linear and reversed, known and unknowable. As their vessel moved through space, leaving trails of balanced temporal energy in its wake, they understood their true role, not conquerors of time, but bridges between its many expressions. Their story, forever incomplete yet eternally unfolding, became testament to possibility itself, proof that even in face of universal mysteries, human spirit could adapt, evolve, and ultimately transcend.